attacks on the French. French patrols in the back country were ambushed. Trains were derailed. Rebels smashed the villages of Muslims who opposed the FLN. Terror spread throughout Algeria. This was a nightclub. A time bomb wrecked it.
In April of 1827, the last Ottoman provincial ruler of Algiers, Hussein, struck the French consul using a fly whisk due to his anger towards them for their massive unpaid debt, thus beginning French colonization in Algeria and the eventual war it led to, with barbarous conduct from both sides, leading to the loss of many lives. Albeit the Algerians faced horrendous losses due to the French occupants, they triumphantly rose above their circumstances collectively to overcome their oppressors. In 1954, they formed the CRUA to overthrow the colonizers, becoming known as the FLN later that year, displaying their capability to unify, attributable to the immense endeavor and strategy taken to develop such an institution. Equipped with mere hunting rifles and homemade bombs, the rebels utilized terrorism to win an advantage over enemies. This astute tactic allowed them to avert persecutors, assisting in their prevail. Withal, the FLN initiated military taxes to help pay rebellion expenses, demonstrating dominance and in turn helping further their goals. They formed alliances with other Arab countries, catalyzing their success on account of the availability to establish external operational bases, collect funding, and transit goods across the different borders, enhancing combat due to the increased accessibility of tools. In an interview with an Algerian woman under the alias Zabida, she spoke of assisting the revolution by sewing flags for the soldiers while safely leaving no trace of her involvement, allowing for her to evade harm. In spite of having fewer people and less advanced technology, the Algerian people strategized and collaborated to defeat an alien power. But with every achievement for one nation arrives adversity for another. In this case, the French fell under the overwhelming resilience of their opposers, forcing them to depart Algeria forever. The French tragically relinquished aspects of their livelihoods in addition to the battle. For instance, militants dubbed torment the only way to win, in a feeble effort to calm their shameful feelings towards torturous behaviors. General Boulanger needed to refer to the victims as bunwals, or unhuman rats, to numb himself of the harsh realities. We didn't refer to the Algerians as human beings. We called them rats or bunwals, and it's easy to torture a bunwal, because you figure he's not a human being. Executives considered torture an anathema, penalizing servicemen who spoke of their deportment publicly, triggering deeper emotional suppression of the soldiers, inducing many incarcerations and loss of self-control. The utilization of abuse stimulated condemnation internationally, raising sympathy for the sufferers and placing French arms sales at risk of lowering, making them potentially lose thousands of euros. This war ignited dispute, evoking the French Fourth Republic to collapse in 1958, signifying considerable stress on the public and their authorities, and bringing Charles de Gaulle to power. Parliament sought negotiations with the FLN, nearly provoking a civil war due to the demolition of government buildings by several of their citizens, prompting officials to attempt to end all fighting in 1962. After the war, almost 1 million Pieds Noirs, or Algerians born of French ancestry, had to leave Algeria for France, inciting distress imputable to fleeing what they thought of as their own land, and traveling to an unwelcoming and foreign place. In short, the more France mistreated Algerians, the greater the repercussions for their society. As a result, this struggle continues to affect France and Algeria in modern times. Successive generations' thoughts and demeanor changed in response to the skirmish, positively and, unfortunately, negatively as well. The current Algerian president, Bouteflika, demanded France acknowledge their suffering during the colonial era, beginning discourse amongst them. In January 2018, Macron, the head of France, officially acknowledged the systematic torture used, opening archives to discover the truth about the disappeared commoners and fighters like Maurice Odin, shattering the taboo around speaking of the atrocious crimes, allowing for the presentation of accurate information on this hostility. To modern Algerian youth, France seems preeminent to Algeria due to the past history of imperialism, when they regarded them as mighty aristocrats. This idea has currently provoked a growing number of haragas, or illegal immigrants, determined to cross the vast Mediterranean Sea in makeshift boats for new opportunities, unaware of the prejudice they shall face. Bagachi, a Franco-Algerian, fears that they are stereotyped as feeble-minded extremists because of the decisions of individuals similar to Sharif and Said Kouachi, assaulters of an absurdist newspaper, Charlie Hebdo. Although born, raised, and educated in France, the media specifically focused on their Algerian origin, despite their French nationality, rousing discrimination against other Algerians. Additionally, Algerians outcast their own that live in France, calling them les émigrés, deeming them enviable and hated, causing some Franco-Algerians to hide their accent for fear of harassment. An interviewee under the alias of Saliha described her experience in Algeria as intense pressure to possess European characteristics, to seem somewhat superior, even though immigrants are supposedly despised by Algerians, proving colonialism still corrupts present-day beauty standards as well. In short, the conflict left impressions on these two states, culminating in positive communication between them, as well as racism and the belief in French preponderance by Algerians. Coeval habits display the outcome of broken French communities and the merging of Algerians to vanquish their aggressors, improving the comprehension of the reasons behind their actions in the midst of the bloodshed. Since then, these republics strive to maintain their delicate relationship, simultaneously forgiving each other for mistakes made and remembering these horrors to see that they are never repeated. Their compatibility reveals that out of tragedy comes triumph, but the dire damage will never disappear.